All right, so August is here, and that is always good news for martial arts school owners. I mean, we had a really good summer in terms of attendance and graduations, and uh, we were able to have a good financial summer, so that was good. But now we're looking at going into the fall here. Started our schools starts back today, and so that
Wow,
means
they're
everybody
early.
will. Yeah, they are early, and so we're kind of geared up for the back to school
Okay.
and all of that. So it's always good good to have everybody back in town and back on their schedules, and of course new people looking for things.
Yep.
But um, one of the things I kind of wanted to talk about today, and then I'd also like to ask how your boot camp went. But we had our graduations last week, and one of the things that we were able to do during this graduation, we changed things up a little bit so we could have a little more time with the students, not so rushed. And our leadership and instructor team, those guys in the instructor training program, they all had signed up for different graduation times that they were going to assist with. And so we had a lot of help on the mat, which helps things go smooth. Plus, it's good practice for them, good leadership training for them to be out in front and, encouraging the students or helping them out, see a need, fill a need, that sort of thing. But they were also able to kind of perform and do some demonstrations for the students, and I think that it just went really well, um, leadership wise. And then I wanted to make a point of highlighting people who were in the instructor training program, and people were seeing what they were able to do as far as they were out front helping, and just um, that I think that is probably the scariest thing for people is the being out in front, and parents that are concerned that that maybe they don't want to ever get out in front. They don't necessarily want their kids to have to feel that way. They want them to be able to overcome that. And when they see that in a graduation setting and you can highlight that, it's a good thing. So I'm looking forward to it's time for me to send out letters and recruit people again, for the instructor training program, and coming right off of graduation where people can see the results of that instructor training program is just good timing. So uh, just wanted to bring that up, that you know graduation can be a great time to highlight other programs that you have, or some of the bigger picture things that you're doing in your academy besides just the belt promotions and things like that. So that went really well this past graduation. And like I said, I'm looking forward to inviting some new people into the class. We also had I had five instructors that were completing the whole program this time, and they started on this. Keith and I put them through a pretty rigorous training of having them actually teach classes, and we were grading them while they taught, and what to work on, and seeing improvement from class to class. And one of the final things that they had to do was be approved to teach class, that they had made the improvements, but then also they had the essay to turn in. So I had five essays turned in, and the topics ranged from very specific, like martial arts, to the history of martial arts, or martial arts in the military, all kinds of different topics that they each chose. And I found it very interesting to read, first of all. But now I have these essays that I can share, and have available for other students to read, and I think that something that's going to be beneficial for the program too. It's the first time that I required an essay. I've had them do different things before, but I never required the essay for them to become a certified instructor. And I think they were really proud of the fact that they had to do that sort of academic part um, in order to be certified. It was something we were able to present at the graduations too, with their passing their test. And I think that that public presentation can go a long way in letting people know there's more, like what do I do after I get a black belt? Or, what else is there besides the next degree? And I think the instructor training program answers that question. It's not for everybody, but for those dedicated students, it certainly is. Anything to add to that, Keith?
No, I mean, the like I said, or like you said, we really were probably the toughest on this group of instructors coming through our system. It was nice to see we really pushed them to be their best, and it was awesome to see over the last 4 to 6 months, see them grow and make changes. Um, but yeah, because and doing the they would teach a class while we were observing, and that was tough on them. And we made them do it over and over and over until they were teaching just really solid classes, and it was awesome to see them be really nervous in the beginning, and then towards the end they were still a little nervous, but to see them grow in their confidence and stuff. So it was
Especially with us being in there.
oh, I know, like it's like
Yeah.
it was nerve-wracking for them, but I need them to get over that, and to have confidence in what they're teaching and what they're saying, and with the parents in there, and I think they did a wonderful job. So it was it was a cool process this time, especially just how I didn't like I said, I just feel like we were really hard on them, and I told them because I see the potential in them, you know, uh, that I want to push them and be their best, and they just look great.
Well, I'm sure you remember becoming an instructor, and your instructors weren't easy on you, you know, either earning your black belt or being able to teach the classes. And it's a point of pride that you were able to accomplish that and get through that training and do a good job. And if it was easy, everybody'd be doing it. But how did your boot camp go?
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. You went very well. For the moment, we tried something totally different. I told the kids, if the person is deaf, how would you teach somebody who's deaf? And then I changed the situation again. What if the person is blind? How would you teach the person that's blind? Long time ago, I was teaching for my instructor, John Chung, in New York. Um, there was a student, he was legally blind, and he was learning martial arts, and he sparred, he did the form, everything else. But, we had to teach him. And so I brought that out from the memory. I said, how would you do it? Because, they don't have, same sense as we do. And it was kind of interesting how they did it. So a lot of times, they didn't have to act because they themselves are not deaf or blind. So I want
Uh-huh.
you to make sure you act really you're deaf, and then you're blind. And I enacted out for them. I was really deaf. So it's like, you can't assume that somebody's going to do something that you would normal people with all the senses, you know. So that was very interesting.
I
How'd they
think
do it?
that's awesome. I mean, I think that that's just great and critical thinking, and then also uh, figuring out a way to communicate to people in all different levels, which of course is what we want to be as teachers, is great communicators. So that's awesome. Sorry, Keith, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Mm.
Oh no.
And then go
How'd
ahead.
they do it? How'd
Sorry.
they do with it?
They did pretty good. They were a little confused because they were assuming that they would know some of the stuff. I'm like, it's like they don't know anything. So you have to teach them how to make a fist. You have to, without, if they're deaf, you have to, it's very visual. You have to teach them visual. If they don't get it, you have to get the hands involved, touch and feeling. So some kids did it pretty good. Some kids, they still need to work on, but it's good to see how the brain was working.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds like a great activity. I've done it the other way around where you were the teacher and you couldn't talk,
Yeah.
you know, but to flip that, because you're right. I mean, we've all had experiences teaching people with all kinds of different abilities and difficulties and things, but getting the kids and the new instructors working on that, I think that's great.
Or sometimes you explain something to somebody a dozen times and they don't get it,
Right.
and so you're like, no, okay, just watch, right? Or you have to have those different ways of teaching, which that's awesome. That sounds like it was a really good drill.
And then
Yeah.
we tried this Saturday with the instructor training class with the leadership class. So we're going over teaching somebody self-defense. So you're the leader helping other person. And then we change the setting around. Imagine you have 6 people now you got to teach. How would you teach 6 people instead of teaching one, which is a lot easier? You tell them what to do, you do everything. It's easier to catch on. But when you have to teach 6, how'd you have to do it? And then they come out, they explained it. And then they all came out similar way to what they explained it. So I had to explain a little bit. When you're teaching group setting, you have to make sure everybody's on the same page. And then you have to give them one thing at a time and you have to check, make sure they understand that one thing. And then when they get it good, then you teach a 2 thing and then you finalize it and then you let them practice. So we didn't get to the final stage yet, but I had to give them idea as to how to control, more than one, group setting.
I think that's great. Just taking them where they're at and moving them forward, just like they are learning how to teach one thing at a time. They're also learning how to teach one little thing at a time. That's great.
And I'll probably put one of them this week. I'm going to put them in the pressure cooker, let them teach the whole class because they never went through this. I'm going to put them in there and say, what would you teach? How would you teach? I'm going to give them guidelines, say, take over. Let's see if you can do it. So
Yeah.
we'll see whether they're going to sweat.
And they probably will, and
Yeah.
one of the hardest things for me over the last 6 months putting our instructors through these things is sitting back and letting them make some mistakes.
Yeah.
That was so hard, and you can see it unfolding. And I stepped in a few times when it was going to be a little too chaotic, but
Sure.
but I did let them make mistakes, and if there's other people that watch this later, it's really good to pre-frame your class first to say, hey, this is an instructor in training. They're practicing their teaching just like you guys are practicing your martial arts skills. So, hey, there might be some mistakes today, okay, but we're going to learn together and all get better together, And so when you pre-frame the class like that, and the parents know, hey, this class might not be like Master Kim is teaching it, right? Like a super great class, but we got great feedback from the parents seeing the instructors grow, and the students were actually like, really helpful, and so it really helps to pre-frame your class if you're doing that too. So
Great
I'm
idea.
I'm looking forward to it also takes a little pressure off of them too. Say, okay, I'm a newbie. Everybody give me a little slack.
Sure.
Uh, but I'll be curious to see in the next week or two how some stories from that, see how that goes.
Me too.
Yeah.
But man, like you're giving them an opportunity to grow and to learn, and I think that's great. I remember my first class actually that I taught. I was 12 years old because the instructor didn't show up, and I grew up, my whole life in martial arts, and we had 2 classes going at the same time. One instructor didn't show up, and I remember, Mama, you were like, well, Keith, you got to teach class, and I had about a 2-minute warning. I was like, oh my
Hey,
gosh. I'll
Well,
get to
never.
2 minutes, 2 minutes in your whole life training up to that.
hey, you get to find out.
That's
What
right.
you got
You guys
inside,
sometimes
right?
just got to jump in sometimes.
Hey.
Yeah.
I
I
had a
think
question.
for, oh, go ahead, Keith. No, go ahead.
Oh, I just was wondering if so this boot camp and everything are these hand selected by you, or is it open to everyone?
Uh, we opened it to everyone, and we're gonna do another one in about 2 weeks, another whole week.
Yeah.
And even the little kids that we were surprised,
Yeah.
they picked it up. I mean, some of the 6-year-old, I mean, they picked it up better than sometimes even the teenagers.
Yep.
I was shocked by one little girl. She was kind of quiet, and then she came up and she just spit it out. I'm like, okay.
Man, I think this is awesome because you just don't know out of that group who's gonna be like one of your top instructors and to well, if she's 6 years old, maybe 8 more years, but
Yeah.
but you just don't know like who you're planting that seed with. And sometimes it'll shock you, like you just said, and sometimes it'll shock them. And so but you're planting those seeds and you're gonna reap, awesome instructors from it. So it's great.
Thank you.
Well, and I think having the 6-year-old kind of maybe show a few people up sets the others a little on fire. Like, oh my gosh, I
Just
just
step
got
up your game.
yeah, I got to do
Hey,
better.
competition is good stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you got another week of boot camp coming up, and when does school start back for you guys?
We start 26th of
Oh
August,
wow,
and
Oh
then
wow.
yeah.
he was I have right after Labor Day 2 years ago, and then last year they changed it to a week before Labor Day weekend, and then they stuck with it. So that is week before Labor Day.
Yeah. I know we start early around the country
Yeah.
for whatever reason. Um, but it is nice to kind of back- get back to that normal schedule and
Oh,
everything. So
absolutely. Time to go get students.
yeah. Yes. Yes. Fill those classrooms back up.
I do not like summer.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
I prefer school being in and routine.
Yep.
Yep.
And I think right now the kids are also kind of like tired of summer now. They're getting antsy. They're getting bored. So right now we start. Last week I started the countdown. It's like, hey, in a month, school's starting. We got to get ready. We got 3 weeks. Whatever you need to get it out of your system, get it out. School's starting.
There you go. That's good. That's good. Do you have any when's your next belt graduation?
24th. So we alternate
Okay.
between the underbelts and the black belts. So underbelts up to going up to brown belt is this month, and then next month will be black belt test. They have a 4 hour sweat. I call it each 4 hour sweat.
I like that.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, make it a real test.
Yep.
So you're on a 8-week cycle then,
Yes.
right? Good. Do you use that time, the after graduation time, to reach out to like new uh it's time to move up to the next program, like for renewing their
Uh,
membership or
we're trying to see who's doing good constantly now. We're trying to push that, somebody's doing good. We're trying to invite them to our level 1 class and then let them see what it's like, what the difference is. And their parents see the difference in discipline, difference in structure. And, we're trying to get that more consistent base. So
right.
when they sign up, if they look good after 2 weeks, we're on them right away. Say, hey, they're doing such a great job. We'd like to invite them to level 1, see what it's like, and then let them see. And then some of them, if they have a good potential, then we'll invite them to weekend leadership training class and let them try it out, see what we do differently. But with the
Right.
leadership, about teaching, communicating, learning more advanced techniques, and so on. So we're trying to make them more consistent constantly. So, and then I like your idea. I'm trying to get the more leadership students get involved with the graduation now. I just gotta force it. To say you need to sign up for basic. We got slots. What would you like to do? You got level 1, level 2. Which you would like to come in and help out? So I think they get shy sometimes. So sometimes you gotta give them a little nudge. Say, hey, I need you to step it up. You can do it. Get them to demonstrate a little bit. Get beat up a little bit by the underbelts.
Yeah.
So that's a great idea. You know, I knew about it, but it's like sometimes we get involved with the everyday
Oh,
stuff,
sure.
and sometimes we're forgetting. Like, you know, when you say it's like, got to work on that this graduation.
Yeah. And that's a great teaching them how to help at graduation is also it's a class. So, usually the class before our graduation, I have everybody, all right, if you're going to hold targets, here's how you do, give them a chance to kind of practice doing it. And then they have a little more confidence when they get out there. But yeah.
We had two teenagers. Well, actually, they might even be 12, um, 12 or 13, and they helped us out with their first graduations this last
Right.
week. And they were nervous. They were just as nervous as if they were, graduating. But they did a great job. And I think that it was awesome for the parents that has a 7-year-old white belt out there, and they see the 7-year-old white belt, but then they see the 13-year-old girl black belt, helping,
Sure.
and then man, say, man, I remember when my teenager here was 7 years old at a white belt, and now you're helping, other people, and I think just that goes a long way for the parents, and just they were like, man, I want my 7-year-old to be like that, and they see those things. And,
Absolutely.
yeah, I think it's awesome.
It's like this is constant marketing.
Yes, yes,
You got to find the time and place always to market, but also showcase your students, because you put your heart out to the kids, and you build them up, and then you need to showcase that so other people can see. I want my kid to be like that in 5 years.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
yeah,
Yeah, and it is great on the marketing side. It's great on the letting people know what it is your real mission is. But the other side of that too is the actual building of that person that, you know, you are always setting them out to a new challenge, you know. Okay, now let's put into practice that encouraging others or positive reinforcement or your new skill that you learned, putting it into practice. So it's a full circle type of event, from the little person getting to see what the end product can be to the person out there who is showing, here is how I'm growing as a leader. Yeah, it's just something I really enjoy participating in and seeing. So
Absolutely.
that also gives me, I always look at graduation as a test for me and the staff, where are weaknesses, what do we need to be working on, where the students need more training in, where does the instructors need more training in. And so today is the first week after graduation, obviously, so we'll put some of that into place and say, we need to spend a little more time on this. What was there anything else for today?
Not at the moment.
Okay.
I'll think about
All right.
something that I'll ask you next week.
Okay. All right. Well, we will see you next Monday, and
Sure.
good to see you back, and
Okay.
have a great week.
Thank you. You too.
Bye
Cheers.
bye.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Bye bye.